What's up, guys? Welcome back to a new episode of Out of the Park Baseball 26, where we are rebuilding the Pittsburgh Pirates together. And we're joining you from July 11th, 2030. We are on the date of the first-year player draft here. Our Pirates are surging as of late. We are 57 and 37, the top team in the latest power rankings. Of course, we have faced a tremendous amount of adversity this year by way of injury. We're down our best position player, Wyatt Sanford, likely for the whole season. And we've had a plethora of injuries to guys like Termarr Johnson, Jared Jones, and Mike Burrows, all key contributors for us. But we've persevered through everything, and we currently have the best record in all of baseball by one game over the Los Angeles Dodgers. But in today's episode, we're going to pivot our attention forward. Like I mentioned, it's the first-year player draft, and I'm sure if you're watching these videos in a row, you know that. Last we left off, we were sort of considering a bunch of options at the top of our board here and trying to strategize how to best attack our two first-round picks. I appreciate any feedback we got in the comments on that episode. Some of you passed and others of you failed to give me any info to go on, so I'm just going to freestyle this, I guess. But we did get a couple of thoughts in there, and, you know, they sort of just mirrored what I was thinking all along. It's that we're down to kind of these three guys, Blashill, Bumgarner, and Wayne Coward. And I think I've arrived at a decision, and it may be a little surprising, but I have thought more about Kung Fu Panda, and he does look like a great prospect, like lefty power, corner outfield bat. Like, this is the exact archetype you want. The only maybe red flag is the poor competition level with these dang Canadians is maybe scaring me off a little bit, and combined with the surplus of outfielders available in the draft, if we go to all of the batters here, you know, we would be happy to take Wayne Coward, I think, as well. He's a little bit safer, and he's actually further along, despite being younger than Blashill. And we would also be happy to take Brian Wyatt because he hits switch. He's very similar to Coward, and he actually has high work ethic, which Coward does not have. So, you know, even if we were to miss out on Blashill and Coward, I would be happy to take Brian Wyatt, which is leading me back to Bill Bumgarner being our preferred choice here just due to the shortage of starting caliber pitchers. I would like to come out of here with one, and I don't really like any of these other guys on the list because, you know, they are control artists who throw like low 90s. They have no control and they're fragile. Again, topping out at 88 to 90 on the radar. This guy looks decent, but like I don't favor him as much as the left-handed guy. There's just, you know, no one I quite like as much as Bill Bumgarner. So this is how we're going to go. We're going to go Bumgarner first. He has a major league quality fastball right away, good stamina, good work ethic, can touch 100. I think this is going to be the way we play it. We're going to take Merlin, Bill Bumgarner with our first selection here, and he just wants kind of slot value, so we're right on slot. We have a huge bonus pool allocated to this draft, so we're going to, you know, be able to overslot some guys in the coming rounds, but I'm not willing to chance Merlin going off the board, even though he's not projected to go until later in the mock draft. We see all the time guys get selected early. So we're going to get started with a bang here and take Bill Bumgarner with our first pick, the 6'4" left-handed pitcher. Will join our organization. We're going to meet his demand of 3.4 and get things underway. So there we go. I know some of you were wanting me to draft Kung Fu Panda with the first pick, but the poor competition Canadian level kind of scared me off because I could just picture in my mind him regressing in a month or two with our scout, just totally falling apart in the first year. But we'll see if he makes it around to our supplemental pick here. I think it will be hard to turn him down there, where I feel like it's a little. It's kind of just like free money, right? We got this because of the PPI. We can get a little bit riskier with it. But let's do each of these next picks live here to just build the drama, I guess. It appears Boston, who has 3 picks in quick succession here, is favoring John Carmona, the outfielder from UNLV that we looked at. So we'll see if that's where they go. They do. The Yankees are favoring second baseman Jim Duncan, who we liked quite a bit, but also has a poor competition level. So Spawn will go to the Yankees. Minnesota is favoring a starting pitcher, so you have to wonder if they would have taken Bumgarner if we had not jumped on the opportunity. So they will go Mike DeMarie. Jesse Miller, a shortstop, also a college player, one of the older college players in the class, and also a poor competition level. We had spotlighted him in last episode. It looks like St. Louis is favoring him with their pick, and they do take him. We got a catcher here, Nick Brennan. Tony Salinas, the shortstop, the very contact forward, 75 grade shortstop, looks to be the favored choice here. Obviously huge gap power, but an $8 million bonus demand. He will likely go to Boston here. And it looks like Vegas is not favoring Wayne Coward or Jerry Bloschel. So they will go TJ Klein most likely, who is a big, power lefty, but, I would never take a personality like this personally. They can feel differently about it. Maybe he will thrive in Vegas. But they go TJ Klein. So we're back on the clock here. And we have both of our position player options available to us. So Jerry Bloschel versus Wayne Coward, and I think I lean toward the Kung Fu Panda. I know I was just dunking on him for not having a good competition level, but I think I'm willing to chance it with the high baseball IQ and kind of just good starting point. I think he's more exciting potentially than Wayne Coward is, who obviously Wayne Coward is maybe a little safer and he's further along. Let's just compare them again one more time. It really just depends on, do we favor the contact profile of Coward or do we favor the power profile of Bloschel? And I think this high in the draft, I've honestly spent a couple of, I haven't uploaded in like a day or so. I've spent some time thinking about this and I'm willing to go Jerry Bloschel just to draft on the power, because this combo of all 3 is such a rare tool to find, and everything 70 plus grade I think is really valuable here. So we are going to go Kung Fu Panda and way overslot the pick here for $8 million. This is a huge overpay, but it's something that we're budgeted for, and I think we can afford. So if we bring him on, it'll bring our total up to 11.4, which I think is fine because we have 16 allocated to the whole draft. So we're going to take this here, meet his demand of $8 million, and bring Kung Fu Panda on board. So that'll be a fun pairing to have. We have Merlin and Kung Fu Panda here. So now I'm just going to advance all the way to our pick. I think what we'll be hoping to see is that one of either Wayne Coward or Brian Wyatt make it back around to us on the turn. But I think it's highly unlikely both or even one of them makes it, but that would be our dream. We will, of course, check here. We're going to auto draft to our next pick. And it looks like they are both gone. From what I can... Oh, no, Brian Wyatt is still here. That's actually really surprising. Let's see. Wayne Coward goes to Milwaukee at 2.19. I'm really not familiar with too many of the other players in this draft. I could maybe pick out a couple of names that we were looking at, but also maybe not because, again, I kind of just zeroed in on a couple of players there. So Wayne Coward goes at 19th. It looks like our scout has a couple of recommendations here, none of which I have looked at. I think Brian Wyatt is an early favorite because he does hit switch and he is 17 and he has the good work ethic and the good base running speed combo. But I have yet to look at any of these 60 grade players with any sort of like critical eye. Previously, with the first two picks, I only went down through the 65 grade guys. So let me hop off camera here and take a look at both the pitchers and the hitters. I'll look at maybe 60 and 55 grade guys and come back to you with a decision. And we're back here in the second round at pick 32. I have taken a look at a couple of players that I find interesting. I didn't really see much in the way of batters. I know there are a lot of 60 grade guys here, but there are flaws with each of them. And, maybe there is a shortstop here who's somewhat interesting, Ken Schicker. However, he is like pretty far away in all of his attributes. Decent personality, decent fielding. I just am kind of like, he doesn't wow me, So I think we're still looking at Brian Wyatt if we were to go the position player route. He does hit switch. He does have good speed. He has good work ethic. I think you could train him up to be decent in one of the corners with that plus arm. And, if all of this were to regress, at least he has plus gap power and plus eye, which play well in our park, hypothetically. So, I'm sort of leaning toward him. If we were going batter, if we went pitcher, there are, a couple of guys here. I've sort of highlighted some guys further down the board who I don't think are under consideration here. I think the top two guys in the eye of our scout, the top guy is Luke Thompson, who we see as 65, and he has good work ethic, great stamina, pretty decent at holding runners. We think can project to have plus control. He's 17, although nearly 18, and just like a good, solid three-pitch mix. We like him. The only curveball is that OSA only views him as a average guy. They think he has much less control than we do, and maybe there's a chance that we would be overdrafting him if we were to take him here in the second round. I think there's a chance that he maybe lingers on the board a little bit longer, so I'm sort of willing to rule him out. This next guy, however, Matt Abel, is more highly regarded in the eyes of OSA and Pipeline. And he honestly looks very similar to the other guy we just looked at, kind of just fringe control, fringe stamina, but you like his personality and he's a good leader. Has 3 really high quality pitches. This is how sort of we view him. If we toggle to OSA, however, they're going to view him much, much higher with 65 grade control and truly generational movement. A lot more stamina as well. So it's kind of I think, given the discrepancy on Thompson, I think we're deciding between Matt Abel and Brian Wyatt as our choices here. And given that I don't like any other position players, or I'm not in love with them, I think we're going to go with Wyatt as our selection because maybe in the next round Thompson is still here and then we can get another pitcher and then we will have, doubled up on each outfielder and pitcher. So that's sort of what I'm leaning right here. Of course, 2.8 mil is not going to financially ruin us, but it will bring us closer to our end goal. This will bring us up to 14.2, but I think we're getting one of the more exciting players in the draft here with Brian Wyatt. So we're going to execute this 2.8 mil. We're going to meet the demand, and we are big spenders in the draft so far this season. So let's see how things project here. If Matt Abel will remain on the board, I would be very surprised if he stays here and is available with our next pick. And it looks like he is not. But Luke Thompson remains, the other pitcher, does stay on the board. It looks like Abel went in the with the 5th pick in the 3rd round to San Diego there. So we miss out a little bit. There are still some decent 60 grade talents here. I think when I was looking at kind of all the pitchers available, there are a few. I had, scouted a few closers, but it looks like they have since been taken. There is another starter down here, Nate Gerger, who looks somewhat decent, but kind of just, has reliever risk with the stamina. You don't know if he'll ever fully come into being a starter. The BABIP being capped at kind of like 45 isn't great. So we may go Luke Thompson here, who looks, a lot more kind of well-rounded, even if he is just a 3-pitch guy. He has that good stamina. But let me take another look at the position players. Maybe there's something I'm not quite seeing here. And, maybe that changes my mind. But I'll be back once we've made a selection. All right, guys, we're back here at pick 29 in the 3rd round. And I've looked at the pool. I'm not blown away by, I think, anyone. I was taking a look at the mock draft as well to kind of gauge where guys are going to go to try to be a little more strategic with this. Luke Thompson, he demands 1.1, and I think there's a chance we can grab him in the next round given the OSA discrepancy. If he gets taken, I think it's fine. We've already got a pitcher with our first pick. I think I found a position player I want to take ahead of him. But he would be my favorite pitcher if we were going to take a pitcher. There are a few guys here who are sort of out of our price range. Ken Schicker, who we sort of looked at earlier, wants $3 million, and at this point that is too expensive for us to afford. He seems like a decent personality. Shortstop, hits left, average competition level, looks pretty good and well-rounded, which I like. There's also just kind of some confusing first baseman. Steve Rudd wants 3.2, and I could be convinced to go for this if we had the available money. I mean, he's 6'9", 220. That's pretty awesome, but I think he's a little out of our budget at this point. There's a catcher here, Isaiah Shelby, who looks really good. He has a good personality and pretty, good balance across all of his attributes. Can also play first base. He's 6'4", 200, bats righty. I would be happy to take him, but I kind of like this other guy down here a little bit more. We're dipping down into the 55 grades too, which is kind of, unexpected, but I think Dave Shala is worth it, because he's also really well balanced across the board, and he's durable, and you think he could be a somewhat capable infielder, but you really like this personality. So he's projected to go relatively soon in the draft. He wants 1.1, which we can afford, just barely. So I think we're gonna go with Dave Shala as our pick here. So I'll have to find him down here in the 55 grades. And there we go. Dave Shala. We're overslotting again, which is a common theme, so we're really going to have to kind of dial in, I guess, for these next couple of picks. I don't even know where this exactly nets us out. So I guess we kind of need to decide if we want the pitcher or not, because this kind of brings our draft budget really, really tight. So I think I might actually make a last second change here and take Luke Thompson, because I just feel like it's so much more valuable to hit on this and make sure we bring in a good pitcher, and then we can forget about Shala and just try to kind of underslot our next couple of picks here, because we're actually running tighter on cash than I realized. If we sign him on to 1.1 mil, this will bring our spend up to 15.3, which allows us $700K that we have to split between these next two picks. So sorry for the fake out. We're going to go with Luke Thompson here, the 17-year-old 6'4" right-handed pitcher out of Logan County in Owensboro, Kentucky. So welcome on, Luke. Happy to have you. You were our first choice all along, of course. We will meet his demand, and we will advance to our next pick. And it looks like there are, still a couple of high ticket price guys here. I don't know if okay, great. Both Shala and the catcher are still here. And it looks like we can get the catcher for just $150, so that might be the play. I'm going to search through kind of the guys who are demanding under slot here. The slot value is $580. I think we can try to cut a deal here to save some money, but I'll come back with a couple of options in just a bit. All right, guys, just a couple of picks left on camera for us to do together. We're here in the fourth round. Our slot value is $580. And I've sort of combed through, I think the pitching is starting to dry up, but I do like a couple of these relievers down the board. I don't know that I'm willing to take one here. I think I still want to go position player. And we've already taken 2 starters up until this point, and we're kind of priced out on Nate Gerger now. He wants $1 million, and we kind of just have $700K left to play with, so we got to be a little strategic here. There are some guys down here further down the board who I looked at. There is John Beasley, who looks just kind of like a very solid second baseman, wants $650, so he would eat up like pretty much the remainder of our budget. Maybe a little too pricey for us right now, but he looks pretty solid overall and good gap power. He has at least 1+ attribute. There are 2 outfielders here who I like. There is Rick Herman from Auburn, who also looks very well balanced, brings a little bit of first base versatility, but he has 60 outfield range and good work ethic, so maybe he could turn into something. He's kind of young for the class, considering he's a college player, but no real standout attribute for him. Alex Martinez honestly has a little more upside. The disadvantage is just that he is maybe 100 days older than the last guy we looked at. Also has good range, and I could be convinced to take him, but we've already taken we've taken 2 outfielders already. I think I kind of want more diversity here, and he's already 21, so should he linger, maybe we double back on him, but for the time being, I think we're going to go in a different direction. There is Jordan Poole, obviously the famous NBA guard, who in this universe plays a decent second base, third base, and has good outfield range as well. He's kind of the one that hurts to turn down because, even though he's pretty well-rounded across the board in terms of his bat, you look at his ratings, you think he can play a plus outfield at any position. I think he could be, molded into kind of just a super utility kind of guy who brings kind of average offense, which, definitely has value. So I don't think we're going to take him out of LSU. But should he linger on the board, maybe we look to double back. And then the final player who we are not going to take is Zach Roth, a 18-year-old catcher who just has a really good personality, and he's not going to strike out much. So, durable as well. Wants slot value. I think we're going to pass, though, because at the top of our board, we have this other catcher, Isaiah Shelby, who we looked at earlier, and he only wants $150, so we're going to lock him up here. Also a very good personality. Think the defense is decent and, should be an above average contact hitter and kind of just average at everything else, like typical catcher bat. So that's the direction we're going to go. We're going to go with Shelby to save some money here, hopefully. Yep, he just wants $150, so we're going to meet that demand and auto draft until our next pick. So let's take a look at the pool and see who is still available. It looks like Dave Shala is still here. It's unfortunate we can't afford him, and now it's the same for John Beasley. John Beasley is outside of our price range now. So let's see if Jordan Poole is here, and he still is, and he would perfectly align with our remaining funds. So I think that might be just the pick that we make here on camera. I don't know if it makes sense to go any other direction because I've already marked all the players I want here. So, we've already taken a catcher. We've already taken multiple outfielders. I think we can go Jordan Poole here and bring on the versatile shortstop from LSU. I don't think there are any pitchers really. I mean, we could go into one of these relievers. I guess I'll show you what they look like. They're both college players. I think Greg Neagle is pretty interesting because he's a lefty with plus stuff, but he's just a two-pitch guy, fastball, changeup, but, good at holding runners, decent stamina, is already throwing upper 90s, not the best movement, but you think the stuff would be there. So I think he's interesting, and kind of the inverse, Aaron Moran throws righty. He's very far along. I think he could potentially play in the majors in a year and a half from now. But I don't know that I love going a reliever here. So yeah, I think I'm just going to make the call now on camera. We're going to go back and get Jordan Poole out of the shortstop market here and kind of address middle infield, but also just versatility in general. So we're going to take the LSU product here, and that will fulfill our full 16 mil draft budget. So we're going to have to just go slot value here on out, no overpaying guys. But I think we got really good value at the top of our board here. Bill Bumgarner, Jerry Blashill, Brian Wyatt, I think are all, super talented players. And I think overall we've done well. But I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the rest of this off camera, and I will loop back to you with any other notable selections once I'm done. All right, guys, that's a wrap on the 2030 draft. You can see our remaining picks here. I don't think there is anyone super notable, but I'll touch on the first couple for you here. We have Alex Martinez, who is a college outfielder who honestly looks pretty solid. He's kind of a discounted version of, the same archetypes we were looking at with Coward and Wyatt early in the draft. He's just a little bit worse in every category, and he's older. But I think it's likely we push him to the A-ball level. I haven't done any of the promotions just yet here, but I will make note to do that. And, maybe he turns into something for us. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. I just felt like he was kind of the best player available. We then went with a reliever, Brian Johnson, who is already at the A-ball level. He's a bit older, almost 22. Felt like he had good movement upside to tap into, along with the, already out of the box, really good velocity. And he's got a cutter changeup build, which is kind of unique. So, I ended up taking a couple relievers here who may be interesting. This next one is a high schooler, Jose Candia. He's almost 19, so he's a little bit older for a high school pitcher, but he's got really good stamina. So we love that. We love the work ethic. He's a lefty, 6'4", and you think he can have really big stuff as long as he can train up the control, and the movement is also really far away. So he definitely comes with risk. He's only a two-pitch guy, but the velocity is already, low to mid 90s. We think he can get to mid to upper, and I like the stamina as a good starting point for him. So maybe he factors for us in a couple of years. We then went with Rich Shearer, who is a 50 grade first baseman. Always love a left-handed hitting first baseman. You think he could be a good leader in the clubhouse. Not the best technical defender, but he should be fine. He should be serviceable. I think he can hold down first base at the A-ball level for the next year or two. He's just 18 and a half there. One of the better values on the board at the time. And we took a finesse pitcher here, Jaden Jackson. I don't normally go for the finesse pitcher archetype, but I was won over by the personality. And ultimately, if you can get a pitcher to develop 60 control, they're probably going to be somewhat effective at the majors. I think a lot of the finesse pitchers too, at least from what I've seen in the early generation, throw under 90 miles an hour. Maybe Jaden Jackson can get a little bit over that, up to mid 90s, but honestly kind of just a wild card pick here. Felt like he was interesting to take given the personality. Maybe he can grow in our system. We also have Russ Kearns, who is a similar archetype to the other reliever we took, just a two-pitch guy, fastball, changeup. You think the fastball is already there pretty much, and he's really good at holding runners. also another college guy, pretty old for the class, so we'll probably push him and a couple of our like college relievers up to at least A-ball. Alan Watts is a 17-year-old third base prospect with a big arm, good adaptability. Not sure the bat's ever going to be there, but he's possibly interesting. And then this guy I think is pretty good as well, Sean Bond. You think the bat is pretty average across the board, but he does bring catcher flexibility. I've bumped him to left field here, but he can catch at a somewhat decent effective level. I think it's likely he can kind of play just a utility role for us throughout the minors. I don't know if he'll ever make it to the majors, but he's kind of cool. Jason Young is a center fielder, also college guy, 21, with big range. He's durable. Bat is just average, but if anything, he can provide us good center field defense in the minor leagues for either in like a starter or backup capacity as needed. And maybe the last guy we'll look at is Johnny Fitzgerald, a high work ethic catcher who is kind of just the definition of average across the board, but we do like that he is so young. He's 17 and 2/3. So overall, I think the draft, we took a couple more relievers here late. I don't think any of these guys will really ever factor for us. If they end up factoring, you will learn about them in due time. But I'm super happy to get the left-handed pitcher Bill Bumgarner with our first pick. I think Merlin is going to be awesome when we look at this, movement potential, the stuff potential, the velocity potential, the work ethic. There's a ton to be happy with here. And I think we made the right choice going pitcher in the early round because, we got our other target here, Jerry Bloschel, in the second round. So, I think we hit both picks, and hopefully we can quickly get these guys signed and start developing in our system. I don't think that any of them will be pushed to A-ball this season, considering they are all like young high schoolers. I think the only one who will get run at A-ball will be Jordan Poole because of his, good defense out of the box, and, the bat is decently far along. But everyone else will probably just go to rookie ball and kind of sit for the rest of the year. As far as our, our Pirates this season, now we can, I don't think we're going to go too much further in this episode, so it'll just be a little baby episode for you guys. Sorry, but I'm going to, we're here on the 11th. We have a series against Minnesota. I feel like we always play them the week. The series leading up to the All-Star break is always against Minnesota. I don't know why that is, but we're going to wrap up that series and then simulate through this next week, and we'll review all of the All-Star game information together, and we can kind of chop it there. I think that'll be a nice ending point for us. So let me get through these games. I'm going to simulate through this weekend and then probably through everything, and then just rejoin you on the 17th or 18th. All right, guys, jumping on here to address a bit of an issue. I haven't simulated any of those games. I was sort of promoting all the rookies through our lower levels, and I identified a concerning issue with our high A team here. Maybe should have been on my radar sooner. I usually keep close tabs on the minors, but the high A team is really struggling this year. They are 20-54. So I was like, what could possibly be going wrong here? We have a talented system. There must be something going on, and we have a disruptive presence in the clubhouse. We have Joey Giles causing dissension in the ranks. We took him in the 7th round in 2027. He had a really bad injury, ruptured MCL for us in 2029, and maybe that has soured his disposition since, because I don't ever remember him being disruptive, or maybe he always has been and I've never noticed. But he still has decent potential in the eyes of our scout, and kind of OSA to a degree. So basically, I don't want this around anymore. He's pretty old. I think we're gonna try to shop him around and look for a trade partner while he still has some value to us. And hopefully that will kind of clean up the vibes here. We've promoted some more leaders up to the team, and we have a captain now on the roster. So trying to course correct this a bit. Everyone is super mad on the team, as you can see. And we also have Trevor Wonderly is actually unfortunately selfish, and we invested really high draft capital into him, third round pick in 2028. And he's sort of just fallen off the map for us. Now he's almost 25. I think it's likely we just cut him as well, which is unfortunate because at one point, when we drafted him, we viewed him, I think, as a 50 or 55 grade talent. I think it would be this scouting report around draft time where we viewed him as a 55 grade talent. He's really kind of never put it together. And at this point, I think the ship has sailed. He's kind of too old to get back any value, and I also just don't want him poisoning the rest of our roster. So I think it's likely we cut Wonderly, and I'm going to shop Giles here off camera, and I'll come back to you with a deal. All right, guys, we're here at the trade screen. As you can see, there are not many takers on Joey Giles, but we do have an interesting deal from San Francisco. Joey Giles is, of course, 24 and a half if we're rounding down, 24 and a half, and we're getting a offer on a prospect of sort of equal age. Christian St. Paul is a newly turned 24-year-old relief prospect who projects to have really loud stuff. So I think it's a little bit lopsided in our favor, but we are trading a bat for a relief pitcher, so kind of the positional value kind of tilts, I guess, in their favor, where they're getting a first baseman who hypothetically would develop into a piece for them. And we're getting a hard-throwing righty reliever who can, touch triple digits on the gun, has decent movement and control, and he's been playing pretty well at A-ball. He's played across rookie and A-ball this season, it looks like, in pretty limited sample, but I'm going to jump on this. He's a former fifth-round pick in 2028, so he's actually in the class behind Giles, who we took in the 7th in 2027, but we're just going to go ahead and jump on this while we have a chance. There are a couple of other prospects offered up here by Kansas City. This guy actually does seem pretty decent, but he's kind of at the age where you would want him to debut for a starting pitcher, and I think he would just be blocked in our system. And the other guys here, I'm not really interested in position players, even though in real life Johnny Farmelo is quite a good prospect for the Mariners. He's kind of fallen off in the game, so we're going to go with this guy, Christian St. Paul, and just send this through. So goodbye to the disruptive Joey Giles. We're sending a poison pill over to San Francisco. I'm not sure they know what they're signing up for here, but we're going to complete this, and there we go. So, we move on from Giles, who looks like they promoted straight up to high A, and we get Christian St. Paul. So I think we're going to also let him get run at high A because I look at his ratings relative to the level, has decent control and good movement. I just think he could be really effective, obviously, with the 80 grade fastball. I just don't quite want him to play at Double-A, although now that I'm rethinking it, he is 24, so maybe we give him the aggressive promotion to Double-A and kind of just see what happens there. Anyway, we add a reliever to our system. I think it's a net positive for our team, and then I'm also going to go back here, and I'm just going to release Trevor Wonderly. I don't want to build around this anymore, and he's clearly lost all talent that he has, so we're just going to straight up release him and clear the path for some of our other guys. We kind of have a log jam in our system currently of batters. We have 16 guys here at the high A level, so we got to kind of clear some of this out. I'm not going to waive Quentin Young either. I'm still look at how terrible he looks, you guys. This is so sad. We're still going to hold on to Quentin Young just as a novelty. Sorry to if he he's probably pretty resentful of our management and coaching and GM at this point. but he'll just kind of serve as a relic of, like, don't draft strictly based on tools, because it doesn't always pan out. But I'm going to continue cleaning up the minors, and I'll be back, toward the All-Star break with those updates we talked about. All right, guys, we've rolled through the All-Star break. It is currently July 18th, and we've got some news to review. We had 3 games against Minnesota leading into the break. We kind of, destroyed them. 16-0 in the first game. The second one got away from us in extras. We lose by 3, and then 5-0 on the rubber match. So pretty dominant showing there. We've gotten some news around the All-Star break, and I believe we have signed the majority of our draft picks to this point. Looks like we're just missing out on Isaiah Shelby, our catcher. But I've reworked all of our minor league system, got everyone playing at new levels that needs to be, and sort of trimmed the fat around the edges, got rid of guys who have maybe lost all of their potential or were detrimental to the clubhouse, like we kind of reviewed earlier. One player I wanted to spotlight, I actually pulled a guy out of the DSL up to A-ball, and it is catcher Jacoby Rodriguez, who was OPSing 1,700 at the DSL level with 122 plate appearances. He was raking. And we see him with the 55 grade potential now. He's kind of come out of nowhere for us. He's a 19-year-old catcher, not really sure how he grew into this. He just got really favorable dice rolls with his development, and we're pushing him. So he was originally a scouting discovery, not the best defender, but we'll see what he turns into. We've kind of cleared the path for him to get reps here at the A-ball level, and we'll kind of see how he does, I guess. As far as our major league team, we had a couple of all-star selections here. I think if we scroll back, yeah, they were up here. So, we didn't have the strongest showing compared to last season. Last season, we had a ton of guys make it. We had Alfonso, we had Termar, we had Dan Beebe, we had Jonathan Santucci, weirdly. But I'll scroll through the AL rosters here so you can see. I believe the asterisk designates like leading vote getter in the fan vote. So you can see Dan Beebe has it next to his name. He ended up not starting in the game, I think, because he was coming off of a start in that Minnesota series against the Twins. I think he was kind of benched by the coach due to fatigue, so he didn't actually end up starting. He did pitch in the game, though, weirdly, so it doesn't make sense. But he was the leading vote getter among pitchers, so Paul Skeens can cry about it. And it's nice to see Blake Snell make it in his retirement tour, but otherwise it's pretty quiet for us. Nick Gonzalez is in there as a third baseman. His first year at third base, he represents the NL. Having a great season, 2.0 WAR, and that's kind of it, you guys. I don't see anyone else here with Pittsburgh next to their name, so just 2 All-Stars for our team, even though we have, I believe, the strongest record in baseball. As far as the prospect game goes, we get a couple of guys in here. Our pitcher, Tony Granger, who we took in last year's draft, does not have the best surface level numbers across the minors this season, but he is recognized. He is now playing at the AA level. And Javi Ruiz gets in there from the DSL, our power catcher, who is destroying the ball down there, has a 206 WRC+. The 18-year-old makes it. And then we also get Ben Small in there, who is starting to turn around his slash lines at AA. I was taking a closer look at him. His average has sort of been climbing as of late, although now it's looking like it's kind of like up and down. But I went to his game log, and it looked like it was starting to pick up over the long term. So I think he's starting to find it down there. But kind of 3 guys get recognized for us in the prospect game. Andy Pajes is your home run derby champion, beating out Gunnar Henderson. And the National League actually defeats the AL for once. So 10-3 in our favor here. Not much from our guys in the actual game, but I'll show you Dan Beebe did end up pitching here, and Paul Skeens actually got the start, so I guess he did get the last laugh. But Dan Beebe got in there late. I think we represented ourselves pretty well. So, as we look forward to the second half, we're obviously starting from a great spot here, 2 games up on the Dodgers for best record in the NL. We definitely want to maintain that pace and capture one of the top seeds as we look toward the playoffs. But I think we're going to end this episode here, you guys. I think next time around, we'll look to attack the trade block. I'm still kind of uncertain on our needs, and honestly, our available money is pretty tight. So it's possible we kind of just sit tight here. I sort of like what everyone in the bullpen is giving us. We don't have any weak links there. Really, the weakest link is like O'Neal Cruz or Carson Benj in our lineup, which we're obviously pretty committed to at this point. There are guys on the trade block. Jackson Holliday's unfortunately done for the season, just as he's about to enter free agency. So unfortunate timing for him. Bryce Terang is also injured. Our old friend Cade Smith is here. But maybe I'll pop in here for just a sec. You can see all the batters. If we were going to address something offensively, I mean, the options aren't great, you guys. Like, there's William Contreras, who's like, he's never going to hit for power. He's just going to walk a ton and get like singles. I don't know if that's like, the element we're really missing. And he's also on a multi-year deal, although it is a vesting option. So, I don't know that makes a ton of sense for us. And I'm really not blown away by any of these other names down here. At least these players are like, they have good name value, but they've sort of like fallen off in the game at this point. Like Royce Lewis is nowhere near the player he is in real life. Same for Bregman. So it's kind of tough to make a decision on, like, should we buy, or like, if we do buy, what should we even buy? So I'm going to consider that over the next little bit. I'll try to be back with a new episode for you soon. Work has been crushing me lately in real life. Corporate America is ruthless. So I'll try to be back with a new video for you with a shorter turnaround compared to these last couple days. So I apologize for that. But as always, thank you so much for watching. If you have any thoughts on what we should do, leave them down below. And I would appreciate any likes you could throw on the video. But I'll catch you guys later. Take care.